Welcome to video number 43 in the Using iTrain tutorial series. My name is Bob. In this tutorial we look at the Station Options tab and a parameter called Threshold. Welcome back. The last of the station tabs that we need to look at is Options. And in here there is just one extra option called Threshold. This is used to regulate the number of trains that are leaving a station. The threshold value, which is this figure here, specifies the number of free blocks that are allowed within all the station blocks that are marked with a weight. It excludes any inactive blocks. An inactive block means a block that is within the station but not shown in the list in this table here. Okay, so what does all that mean, and where and how can we use the threshold parameter? Well, the typical place where it is used is in a hidden shadow station or fiddle yard, and it's used to regulate the number of trains that are allowed out onto the scenic part of the layout, if you like. Now, as we know, there are many different variations in yard structure. There's a terminated yard like this one here, where you have a single entry and exit point to the yard. There's the through yard, where you have an entry point into the yard and an exit point at the other end. And there are yards that have multiple entry and exit points. If we assign all the blocks in the yard to a station, like we see in each of these examples here, we can then use the threshold parameter to govern the number of trains that are allowed to leave the yard and enter the main layout. So, like I said before, in effect, we are controlling the number of trains that are running on the main layout. Let's see what that looks like in a test layout using the offline simulator. So here's our test layout. It's a simple yard with 5 tracks on it, and then a basic oval and back into the yard again. At the moment, the station is set up to select blocks in the in order selection method, and this is the order of blocks from block 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All blocks have a weight on them, and all train types are allowed to enter and wait at this station. Weight is set at 100% at the moment, but that could be less than 100 if you wish to. And I've set the wait time to just 1 second. In the Options tab, currently the threshold has not been set to anything, so it's at its default setting, if you like. So with the threshold not set, that means there is no regulation in the amount of trains that will be allowed onto the actual main layout, other than the number of blocks on the main layout. We're going to get crazy and load trains onto all of the blocks here. So we need to increase the number of throttles that we've got on display, and we do that by clicking in the throttle area here and then press and hold the Alt key and press the down arrow, and that will add another row. And then take the cursor until you see this double arrow show here, and then click on that and it will expand the throttles. And then to add another column of throttles over here, we click in the throttle area again and then press the Alt key and the right arrow, and then we get another column. If the cursor keys don't work for you, the other way you can add and remove throttles is to take your cursor down to the bottom of the throttle area to where this double line is down here. So we're going to click down here. If you right click on this line, you'll then be shown a grid and you can select the number of throttles from this grid pattern here. And then we would drag whichever trains that we want in the throttles, we drag them from the overview and into a throttle and release it. But we've already got the 5 that we want in place here. So let's put all 5 onto the layout and into our yard here, and the last one. Now you'll notice that 3 of these trains, the train type name is greyed out here, there, and that is just because in the train types menu we've not made those active. So I'll make those active, and now you see they are now no longer greyed out. Now whilst we're in this train types tab, the other thing I've done is for each of these train types I've reduced the reservation count from the default setting of 2 to 1. So when you see the reservations, you will see it's only reserving 1 block ahead. That is just so that in this little example here I can get more trains onto the main layout, if you like, but normally that would be set at 2. Okay, so we're going to get crazy and just start each of the trains on an automatic route. So click the start button, that's DB car, that's going off there, and we'll click all the other ones. So they're all running and waiting to be able to get onto the main layout. And as I progress DB car along here, you will see that behind it the next train is now coming out. So if I progress this along and I progress that one along, this and that and that and that, now our third train has come out. Progress these along, and our fourth train will be coming out, and this one along. Oop, haven't moved that one on. I can move that one on again. And now our fifth train is now coming out onto the layout. So you can see there is no control of how many trains are being allowed onto the layout here. So it can get quite chaotic, of course. So we'll progress DB car into this block and then we'll stop that one and then move these on. And DB pole will come into there and we can stop DB pole, which was that one, then move these on. Let's progress them through. There we go, they're all going into the blocks and they're going in order, which is what we had the block selection method set to. And that is DBIC, which is that one, so we can stop that in there and move these two in there as well. So you can see that's quite chaotic, isn't it? Let's stop this one, which is this guy, stop that, and this one is the last one. Let's move him in. So there you go. Somehow I managed to get them all back into the station again in simulation. So what we can do with the threshold setting is give ourselves a little bit more control on what is actually going out onto our main layout. If we set this to 1, so I've just clicked on it and it's set to 1, press OK. Using a value of 1 for the threshold means a train can only leave the station or yard when another train enters, but with the caveat that after entering the yard there are no more empty active blocks anymore, so that the leaving train only creates one empty block again. A higher value for the threshold will allow more trains to leave the station and create the same maximum number of free or empty blocks. So if the threshold value was 3, it would allow a maximum of 3 trains to leave the yard and run on the main layout and create a maximum of 3 empty blocks in the yard. Only trains that are driving automatically without a route will participate. When a train enters the station, it will go through its specified wait period. When the wait has completed, the train will be available to leave the station if a slot is available, or it will be held in its position until a slot is available. When it is in that hold state, you will see in the throttle a clock or a timer appears which shows the amount of time it has been in that hold state. So let's see it in that action and hopefully it will make more sense. We've already changed the threshold level, I believe, to 1. So yes, now we're set at 1 rather than no threshold level. The order that the trains leave the station will be the order that we click on the trains to start them. And we'll do what we did before, which was to start all 5 trains on an automatic route. So DB car has been allowed out onto the main layout, and we'll process it around and see what happens. So you can already see that iTrain is now only allowing 1 train onto the main layout, and it will not allow another train out onto the layout until this one enters the station. And then as soon as it has gone into the station, it has now allowed another train to be released. And this one will go round. Like it says, it's allowed 1 empty block to be available. And we'll process this around, and I think you can see what is happening. And this train will go into the station, and that will then release the next train. So what I'll do is stop that all now. Yeah, no, I haven't. This one as well. And then we'll change it to, well, let's change it to 3 this time. So we go to 3, press OK, and we'll start all the trains going again. So we'll move this one out. So it's progressing. It's allowed a second train out. So we'll let this one move out. Then move these 2 along. And a third one has now been allowed out. And now no more will be allowed out. It's created 3 empty slots in the station, and then these can start going back into the station, and as soon as it arrives in, it will then release a third again. So I think you get the idea. Let's stop everything, and I think it's a very, very neat feature for controlling the amount of trains that appear on the scenic portion of our layout, or you may be able to think of other ways in which it can be used. So that was station thresholds, and that was the last of the station tabs completed. In the next tutorial, we will set up a little challenge. We're going to have a bit of fun running trains in simulation, such that the trains behave in a specific way. It will bring into context many of the things that we have learnt about stations. So check out tutorial number 44. It is available to view now, and see if you can complete the mission. Hope to see you then. Thanks for watching, and just a friendly reminder to press that like button before you go. Bye for now.